My mother wanted to live with my wife and me in our home, but I kept telling her she was better off staying in the village. I told her that joint families don't really work in the city. I said it would affect our privacy as a couple. My mother disagreed. She wanted to live with her daughter and I stayed stubborn. After she begged me many times, I finally agreed, but with one condition. She would stay with us, pretending to be a housemaid. The truth is, I didn't know how my wife would feel knowing my mother was alive, and I didn't want to see arguments between my mother and my wife. So, I brought my mother home. When my wife asked who she was, I said, "She's the house help." At first, my wife insisted, "This house is so small. Why do we even need him?" I told her, "She doesn't want money. She needs a place to live." My wife understood and agreed. After a few days, I started getting nervous. My wife asked her, "Do you have any children?" My mother hesitated, then said, "No, I don't have any." To stop more conversation, I told my mother to stay busy with work. But my wife never treated her badly. She didn't do much work. Most of the time, my wife did the chores herself. She only let her help a little so she wouldn't feel like she was living there for free. One day, my wife said something unexpected. She said, "You're old. You shouldn't be working so much." Then she added, "It's just my husband and me. Would you be willing to be our mother?" That question broke my mind. She realized the idea of privacy was never my wife's problem. It was mine. Quietly, my mother packed her things and left. That evening, a neighbor stopped my wife and handed her a letter. She said, "An old woman asked me to give this to Jack." On the way home, my wife opened the letter, and that's when she learned the truth. The woman was not a maid, she was my mother, and I was the one who didn't want her to live with us. When I came home from work, my wife was furious. She asked me directly, "Where is your mother?" Then she pointed at the letter. Reading it, I realized my mother had left, knowing I didn't want her there. In the letter, my mother wrote about how she raised me for years, how she never let me feel any lack, and when it was time for her to be cared for, I was the one who stepped away. My wife looked at me and said, "What doesn't a mother do for her children? And when children walk away when it's their turn, do you know what that does to a mother's heart?" I felt ashamed. Realizing my mistake, my wife and I rushed to the village. When we called out to my mother, tears immediately filled her eyes. We went to her and said, "You won't stay here anymore." I apologized to her and admitted I had lost my way. In the end, my mother agreed, happily, to come back home with us. What is one thing you wish you could still say to your mother or father? And should parents ever feel like a burden to their children? Yes or no?